for facial rigging, we have lots of different methods. I just mentioned 3 of them. So facial rigging, by rigging we mean that the facial expressions are supposed to be made inside 3D program. So the first method is just a traditional blend shape based rigging. Which we normally, so blend shape is a deformation technique inside 3D program. So if you have a object and then you reshape that object to something else using your sculpting technique or whatever, so let me change. Okay, so you reshape your object to something else and then you connect these two using blend shape deformer, deform blend shape, and you defined a test blend shape, just a name, and then you got your, you can delete the target. Where's blend shape?
Things have changed.
Yeah, shape editor. Okay, so I delete that. So it's a very basic. So the algorithm is quite simple. It means the algorithm is if you keep the same topology, you know, the new shape has the same topology. It means that it has the same geometry. It has the same amount of vertices and edges and faces, and we didn't change them. So if you keep the same geometry and you reshape that, so the deformer just moves the current, actually keyframes, animates the current position to the target position. So we want to work with this method, and on K drive, where's K drive? Okay, on K drive I have saved a human head. In this address, yeah, on K drive, School of Art and Design, Hossein Animation, you got this head model. You can drag and drop into your Maya program. Okay, we got this head. We will add a couple of different blend shapes or facial expressions, like smiling, like being angry. So this is the first method that we can talk about. The second method is joint based facial rigging. Well, actually the top one is blend shape based facial rigging, but it's a long name. What is a joint based? So you can select a couple of vertices, like, you know, look at that. I select these vertices, like, or this one, and I click on that vertex and I shift dot, expand the area. And you can also let's select the mouth edge. I select these vertices and this vertex, and I shift dot and expand the area, and I shift control hold shift control right click and I go to the select, soft select, and soft select. So in other way, the easier way is just double click on that, double click on your selection tool, and just go to the soft selection and turn it on. But we normally, because it's so much quick, if I hold Control and Shift and just bang, drag down, it just, I normally work like that. Turn that on, off, while I'm holding Control and Shift. I can turn this soft selection tool on and off by just a quick drag, quick right click, drag down like that. Or if you can't access that, just double click on your selection tool and soft select and click soft select. So turn that on and off here. So this is the soft selection area. It's a large area, so you can you see that a large amount of the face is moving. If you hold B on your keyboard, the character B on your keyboard, and then click and drag to the left and right, you can expand this area. So imagine that the character wants to say so I just select this area and say you wanna read my face, get out of here. Okay, so I have selected a couple of vertices, and I have assigned, well, that's a soft selection. This is a temporary, it's not a permanent soft selection. It's just a I temporarily soft select that area to move them. But if I go to the deform, I have in rigging submenu, in deform, I have a cluster deformer. I go inside the settings. Let's go default. I create a cluster. A cluster is this little deformer. This deformer is actually moving those vertices. You can paint the cluster. So if you select that, deform, paint cluster. So this is the cluster area, and this painting that I'm doing is a constant, is a permanent clustering. So I can select. So what I did, let me repeat the process. I selected a couple of vertices. Let me turn off the soft selection tool. Okay, I selected these vertices. As simple as that. You can apply it. You can do it on a simple sphere. Okay, and then I just went to deform in the rigging submenu, deform and cluster. So a cluster, that little C is been added. If you move that C, those vertices will be moved with that cluster. But this is not what we want. We want a soft painted movement. So what I'm doing, I select the face, click on the face, and I go to the deform again, and I go to the paint weight, this part, paint weight cluster. I'm going to come and show you one by one how it works. So when you turn on the paint weight cluster, the area that is going to be moved will be highlighted. You can paint that area. You can double click on that and make a select a soft paint tool, hold B and change the size of your brush, add to the area. I click add to the area. You can add to that area. Why it's not working? Value 0, no. Okay, or smooth the area. Okay, the smoothing works, but the add doesn't work. I don't know why. And I can flood. So when I press on flood, the smoothing applies to all of that area. And then if I come back to selecting this C, I see that the movement of those vertices are more smoother. Okay, this is just adding a cluster. Imagine that I add lots of joints inside the face. So a method that is very common is a a method that is common is called FAC. Let me show you a sample. It's a joint-based facial rigging. So we have different joints placed inside the face, and every joint is responsible for movement of a cluster of vertices. So it's a very good method if you want to do a motion capture, facial motion capture. So what was the name of the game? Unreal Engine real-time motion capture. Yeah, that one. So if you want to have a facial motion capture, here you can see that there are a couple of points on the face of the on her face, and when these points moving, a joint moves on the counterpart on the equivalent face, 3D face, and that joint carries a couple of vertices. So look at her face. It's good, but it's not that pleasant yet. It's not. It's getting advanced day by day, but it's not what you really enjoy. It's not that animatic and believable. It's just for game, I believe. So I remove that. Let me and the other method that I'm going to talk about is a 2D facial rigging on 3D character. So it's a trending, especially for preschool animations, 3D animations. Like so, for example, for these characters, I have they are 3D characters, but they have 2D faces. What I did for them, I just rigged a facial system that works like that. So you can grab that mouth, and when this character talks, different 2D images pop in and out. A good example of that is Jelly Jam. Jelly jam. Okay. Look at how they talk. It's actually a 2D image that is projected on their face and it changes. Look at that. So the blinking, it's very pleasing and very desirable. And so I applied that in this Macado series. Oh, I hate you, GIMP. I hate you. Let me change. Okay, in the characters. So we can see different facial expressions, and also in the uh, for this character, this robot character. Let me show you some of his facial expressions. Yeah. So you can see that the character blinks, talks, wanders, and all are 2D facial elements on top of a 3D object. So we can talk about these three things. I talk about this in detail in this session and talk about 2D facial rigging later on, and if you would have enough time I can talk about joint base later on. So you have your characters there. We can start applying some plane shapes, but the first thing you have to consider about plane shape is the facial muscles. It is really important. The flow of the muscles, the positioning of the muscles. So have you seen those 3D animations that when they laugh like they just grab the mouth and they think smiling is just moving the mouth to the sides. It's not that. It's a movement around the skull and following the face muscles. So if I want to make a smiling, so when someone smiles, lots of things happen in the face. So these, I can see that these muscles around the lips move back. I've got these muscles, and the muscles around the eyes, they just become smaller. So the first thing that you should note is looking at the skull and the muscles. So you have to be aware of what's happening beneath, even if they are not there, but we have to feel it. We have to follow the facial principles of the face. So I duplicate that. You can do that with me. So I call that base. So base head. You can even change the color. So the base head is like light blue. and I call this one smiling target hit. I turn target heads, I make them like kind of yellowish, just for the purpose of separation. So imagine that we want to make that smiling, and then I apply the smiling to the face. So let's start making him smiling. So what I do, as you saw, I just let me save as this file because I don't want to ruin the source. So facial blend shape version 1. Okay. Okay. Some tips about working inside Maya very quickly. I start selecting this little joint here, and I want to mirror it. You can simply mirror, so maybe that one, yeah. By just again double click on that selection, and inside symmetry, turn on the symmetry here. On which direction? So look at this little coordination sign here. So Y, Z, and X direction. So it should be around X direction. So I can say world X direction. So when I move that one, oh, why it's not working? So maybe I use object X direction. Yeah, when I turn the object X direction, you can see that a similar vertex is highlighted on the other side. So when I move this, the other one is moving as well. A quicker way for turning that on and off is again holding Control and Shift, and then quick right click to the up and then to the down. And to the down for soft selection, to the up, let me turn off soft selection. To the up is symmetry on and off. So let's select that one, and then up, symmetry on. Up again, symmetry off. Okay, I select one point and symmetry is on now. I want to turn, I just press Shift. So these shortcuts help you a lot as well. One, F in keyboard frames the highlighted selected components or objects. Shift point for expanding your selection. Shift shift comma for shrinking your selection. So I select these parts. Maybe I don't want to select. Okay, I click that area again and expand that area. That's enough for me. But why the selection are not symmetrical? Stupid Maya. Anyway, I just select this face and then expand it instead of, so you can do the selection on the vertices and on the faces. What I did, I just right click and set face and clicked on this face and then shift point. So I selected this area and I turn on the soft selection tool. So I've got access to all that area, so I can say I can move them up. So let's make the area smaller, like that much. Okay, I am going to look at the facial muscles when I'm working. Or yeah, just a reference like smiling facial details. That's a good example. Okay, I can see that when we smile, look at my face. When I smile, my lips move up slightly. My and then the cheeks go back, and look, there is a skull inside my. There's a cylinder inside my face, and the movement happens around that cylinder, not on a surface. So the movement happens around this cylinder. That's the skull actually inside our face. So I have to move it like that. So let me expand the area like that. And up. Okay. And if you remember, I told that the whole mouth also. So let's rotate it a bit as well. Up again. And the whole mouth, I select this front lip because it's symmetrical. I can see that, and I move it up a bit as well. So look at that. It's a nice smiling. What I like to move that part up a bit as well. Up and out. Not that much exaggerated, but just a bit. Okay. Look at the cheeks. Chin. What is it called? Chin or here? It's called cheek. It's called cheek. Huh. My English is terrible. Sorry. So I select that part and I move it up as well. Look at the faces. So if you even don't see the mouth, you can guess that this guy is smiling. So smiling on that part as well. So it's a combination of the movement of the different muscles. So and also I just want to move chin up a bit. Large area, just a bit, and a bit forward. That's it. So it's a nice smiling. Now, okay, now, hi John. Yeah, I've got one client. Now, let's move on. Just right click object mode and then select the target. Shift select the, if you have many targets, you can select all of them and shift select the base. And then in the rigging submenu, deform, in the blend shape blend shape, just go to the options and define a name for that, like so why we add names, because maybe in one scene you are doing blend shape for many objects. So I call it old man BS or blend shape, and yeah, create. When you create that, you can hide or delete that. So I hide it, and then inside window, animation editors, pose editor. It used to be called blend shape editor. Oh no, it's not pose editor. I forgot the name. In Maya 2017 it has changed the names. Shape editor, sorry, yeah, shape editor. In shape editor it used to be called blend shape editor, so they dropped the blend. So you got this old man blend shape and a smiling target. You can change that like just smiling. So what happens if I animate the slider? The guy starts smiling. Look at that. Okay, I can keyframe that slider. So like set key here, right click set key here, and in frame 20 or 20, change the slider and set key here again. So I've got two keys and I can play that. So the guy smiles. I remove the keyframes. Okay, what you see, so the rigging part, the foundation of the rigging part is done. So I'm gonna remove the keys. Break connection. Okay. So, but this is not a nice environment for animators. Animators like to have everything inside the scene. So you can see that a facial Maya facial rig. Most of the facial rigging, they have lots of interfaces like these curves and these names and stuff, sliders, visual. So they are visual handles for you to work and animate quickly. If it would be a 10-second TV commercial, then you're okay to work here. But if it would be a TV series and you have to animate like 1 minute per week, so you have to have everything available and accessible. So that's why we create. So I select the face, or just let's say you select a let me add a curve. So imagine that this curve is the main curve of this rig, and I call it old man main. So you see this curve in most of the characters, and this old man belongs to that curve. So I select that and I press P. So what I did, I just select the head and then the curve, and I then press P. So the head is the child of the curve. Curve is the parent of the head now. So I have to child the rest of the face as well, like the where is the outline here? Okay, like the lower teeth, upper teeth, gum, and the eyes. I'm going to middle click and drag and drop them on the old man curve. So this curve is responsible for moving the whole head around. So you can see that this curve has a couple of attributes. You can always make and add attributes. So edit, add attribute, and I call it smiling, and it will be a floating attribute. Minimum is 0, maximum is 1, and the default value is 0. Okay, you can see it here, but it doesn't do anything. So when I click on that and middle click and drag inside Maya environment, you can see that it's doing nothing. So because we have to attach this smiling to that smiling. So how can I do that? I can say that in the set driving key. So I go to the animation editors key. They moved everything around, so I have to be able to find set driven. Okay, key in animation presets, key set driven and set. So it's a window. We have a driver and a driven. So the driver will be this smiling. So it's that one. I just need to select this, and I just need to say load selected as driver, and the driver is the old man main curve, the smiling, and the driven is this blend shape. So I have to select that blend shape. How can I select it? I used to have a select key here. Select the blend shape. Anyway, let me see if I can load it as driven. No, I cannot. I can right click on that and say on the number and say set driving key here. When I do that, set driving key here, it automatically loads the smile. Not. It automatically loads the smiling and then waits for the driver. And if you remember, I selected that and I said that this is the driver, the smiling here. Okay, now it's time to do the key. So when the smiling is 0, the smiling here should be 0 as well. So key. When the smiling is 1, the smiling here should be 1 as well. And then key. So these two has been connected to each other. So this smiling is now driving that smiling. The smiling attribute on the old man curve is driving the smiling attribute of the blend shape. So, but it's not enough for me. I need an interface. So I can create an interface. So I click on the curve, I double click on that, I make it linear. I go to the front view. I hold X on keyboard, click here, click here, click here, click here, and here, and enter. So I've got a curve for the surrounding. I modify center pivot, and I edit delete by type history, or Alt Shift D. I need this curve as well. I just move it up here, rotate 90 degree. So this is the button inside the slider, and I X and put it here. Again, Alt Shift D, delete the history, and also I need to freeze it because I want all these numbers to be the default numbers. Modified freeze transformation. You can freeze this one as well, but it's frozen, so you don't need to do that. So I want to attach this slider to that smiling. So it's smiling slider. How can I do that? First of all, I don't want so I want to in outliner So this is called smiling slider. The outer one is called smiling frame or smiling slider frame. So slider should be inside the frame and the frame should be inside the old man. So the old man should carry the whole thing again. Oh, the smiling, let's do it again. Okay, the whole smiling slide should be inside the old man. So the old man should carry all of them. And this, I don't want everyone to be able to select that one, this smiling frame. Okay, I'm gonna limit that slide. How can I limit that? You just need to select that and Control A and go to the limit information. First of all, you can, so we don't want to be able to move it out or on the X direction, so you can select everything except Y and just say lock and hide. So it can just move. Hi Jason. It can move just up and down. I cannot move it in Z direction. I cannot move it. I cannot move it in X direction. It just goes up and down. But I don't want it to go beneath that area. So I go to the limit information again, like translate limit information, and the translate limit Y is 0, and so it cannot go below 0. It can. I just want it to, like, what about 4? 4 is not 5. Yeah, that's better. So it just moves around 0 and 5 and nothing more than that. So it's a nice representation of a slider. You can make this outer slider deselectable as well. You just have to bring in your outliner again. F to bring it on. I just right click and say shapes. I select the shape of that, and inside the object display I make it template, so nobody can select that anymore, and it's like a faint object, but it's nice. It's there. It's just a simple representation of the whole slider. Now it's time to select this slider, this movement, to that again. So you can use set driving key again. So I bring in set driving key set. So the slider translate Y is the driver, not the driven. The driver, and the smiling is the driven. So the smiling is the driven. So when the slider is here, key, when the slider is up, the smiling should be 1, key. So easily you can see that I can say that I can animate the smiling using this slider. So the same way you can add different, being angry, being sad, applying, one eyebrow up, one eyebrow down, with different target heads, and you can easily find a way to set up a nice slider interface for your facial rigging. Okay, that's enough for today.